The news of his indictment evidently caught President Trump off guard. The words that I heard from Trump insiders was that the legal team and the PR team and the campaign communications team were in chaos for at least about an hour last night. But there is a statement that came out about an hour and a half after the indictment. This is a political persecution, election interference at the highest level in history. The Democrats have lied, cheated, and stolen in their obsession with trying to get Trump. But now they've done the unthinkable, indicting a completely innocent person in a blatant act of election interference. Since then, he has sent out, I think, 2, perhaps 3 fundraising emails saying he is not afraid of what might come. Joining us now, Scottie Nell Hughes, political commentator, former strategist for President Trump, Trump surrogate, as well as Dave Arronberg, state attorney for Palm Beach County, Florida. Good to see you both. Scottie, I can't figure this out. You've got the reporting that Donald Trump is sort of relishing this and looking forward to the fight. You've got it that he's actually a little scared of what might come after 40 years of being able to not get indicted. He finally is. You've got people in Trump world texting, hey, this is great because all of a sudden now we have somebody to fight against. What is it?
Leland, you've been around long enough. This is exactly what Trump does. You're not supposed to figure it out. That's a part of his game. I find it very interesting that they were not planning for this, considering Trump himself was the one who announced it was going to happen 3 weeks ago because it was leaked after a meeting amongst law enforcement on what the proceedings would be. And if you remember in Trump's announcement, he didn't say, I might. There was no actual curiosity or there was nothing left to question. He said, I will be indicted. So he knew this was coming. And yesterday, I find it interesting that the team was, chaotic trying to figure out what to say, because as soon as the announcement was made, I was already getting fundraising campaign questions. I was getting merchandise on sale. So I guess everybody else was ready for this indictment, but the Trump team themselves, that means something about the team.
Yeah, well, certainly he's been through a few tiers of the players, shall we say, in terms of Republican strategists. And also, to be fair, he was the one on Saturday who said, hey, look, I think I beat this, and we think we beat Alvin Bragg into submission. Dave, I saw this from Nancy Pelosi, okay? She's the former Speaker of the House. She holds herself out as an arbiter of fairness and justice. This is her response. No one is above the law, and everyone has the right to a trial to prove innocence. That shows a fundamental misunderstanding of the American legal system. Trials are for the proving of guilt by the state. You have a presumption of innocence. And I'm wondering if there is a conversation among Democrats that the glee, the celebrating may backfire.
Well, as a Democrat, Leland, a former Democratic state senator, I can tell you that's not universal that there's a glee. I think a lot of the people on my side of the aisle think that this case is the 4th out of 4 cases against Trump when it comes to the power, the strength of the case. It doesn't mean it's a weak case, but it's harder to prove than some of the others. I mean, when it comes to the documents in Mar-a-Lago, there's a direct tie there. When it comes to Fulton County, there's the recording. And then you have January 6th, which universally, at least people know it's a big deal. This one is going to be harder to sell, but it doesn't mean that it's a weak case. After all, this is the same hush money payment that sent Michael Cohen to prison. And so,
but to be fair, Michael Cohen went to prison for a lot of different things, lying to Congress among them, and there's a whole host of crimes. But your point's well made. I still want to get back to, though, Nancy Pelosi. No one is above the law. Everyone has the right to trial to prove innocence. And you've got Republicans, including President Trump, saying this is a political prosecution. When you've got a top Democrat prejudging the case and saying now people have to prove their innocence, doesn't that play into this argument that it's a kangaroo court?
Well, she's not the judge and she's not a lawyer. So she misspoke when she said you have to prove your innocence, because you're right. You have the presumption of innocence already, so you don't have to prove anything. I think what she's trying to say, if I can guess, is that to get an indictment, you need to have probable cause and go before a majority of the grand jurors. And that's all you need to go ahead with an indictment. But prosecutors are ethically bound to have a good faith basis that they could get a conviction beyond any reasonable doubt. So unless Alvin Bragg thought he had the goods, he wouldn't become the first prosecutor in the history of our country to indict a former president.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.